In this increasingly global world, understanding the most vulnerable points in your supply chain is becoming more important, not only from a resilience perspective, but also because of the threat of increasingly extreme climatic events. The Task Force for Climate Change Financial Disclosure, TCFD, led the way in the UK. This was a mandatory reporting process for publicly quoted and large private companies, which forced larger organisations to examine the impact of climate change on their supply chains. That TCFD force was disbanded in July 2023, when the Financial Stability Board took over and asked the IFRS Foundation to take over the monitoring of company climate change reporting. There are specific requirements for declarations of concentrations of risks in the value chain, so this is what SCAIR was designed for. Take your portfolio of products and focus on those with the highest revenue and use those financials per product to estimate the value at risk for each location across your portfolio of products. These aren't pure gross profit losses that are estimated, because we know that, in a crisis, the business won't be sitting back and overseeing the death of the product. They'll be dipping into safety stock and activating alternative sources to minimise disruption to the supply chain. So what you get from SCAIR is a real-world estimate of the total exposure of your bottom line to an individual site or supplier across the supply chain. That gives you a real-world value at risk, and you can see that total value at risk across all products, for all critical manufacturing locations. This can then be used to feed the risk intelligence data to allow you to select those locations that are at highest risk for further natural catastrophe and climate change analysis. So the combined power of SCAIR and location risk intelligence will satisfy a number of business requirements, not only your environmental and sustainability targets, but also can be used to support your business continuity management and procurement processes. So, from an E&S perspective, we're talking about identification of critical supply nodes, and that's manufacturing agents, not distributors or headquarters. We're putting a financial impact quantification, a real-world profit exposure, on each of those critical nodes, and then we're combining that with the climate change risk scores at each of the supply nodes supplied by location risk intelligence. And that gives you compliance with IFRS S2 by combining value at risk and climate change reporting. In doing so, you've got a fully documented audit trail with everything in one place, which is great from a governance perspective. This top-down approach will also satisfy and support your business continuity management processes by quantifying the business interruption exposure for critical nodes. This improves supply chain design, helping you to have a more resilient and diverse supply chain, both in terms of geography and capability, and by helping you to justify spending money to mitigate risk. If you can put a value on the loss of a site, then you can justify putting measures in place to mitigate that loss. Finally, this also gives you the ability to design insurance programs that allow you to purchase appropriate level of BI cover for the appropriate sites.